Hello, and thank you so much for meeting with me to discuss the 2017 Employee Engagement Survey results for the Department of Health and Human Services. And as we are a 17,000 plus employee agency, I am one of the task members that was designated with the area of job satisfaction. And over 70% of our survey results indicated that employees were either neutrally satisfied within their job or were not exhibiting job satisfaction within the workplace. So over the next few minutes, I will go over with you some research that we have done as a human resources department to mitigate this. And that approach is actually through leadership. So the objectives that we have include defining job satisfaction, discuss why it is an issue in the workplace and consequences if we do not address this. Once we go into that, exhibiting what leadership style will best serve to mitigate this area of concern, why it works, or really connecting the dots with a real life approach that has been studied in scholarly articles, and then provide next steps that are specific to the Department of Health and Human Services. So, as Aristotle once said, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. Aristotle was around long before human resources existed, or even before personnel prior to that. So he knew early on that one has to be satisfied with what they do in their job in order to really be effective. So what is job satisfaction? Well, simply put, it's the extent to which a person's hopes, desires, expectations about their employment is engaging and fulfilling. So factors that go into that, as you'll see pictured below: challenging work, equitable, working conditions are favorable, supporting colleagues, and it's a fit for your personality. Issues in the workplace. So if job satisfaction is not present or is lacking, through research, there's about 8 total issues or categories in which can take place as to why that is. And for the sake of time, we'll focus on one in particular. But the areas include the boss. Are they a micromanager? Do they engage at all? Are they even present? Lack of organizational progress. Are we stuck doing practices that are 30, 40, 50 years old when we should really revamp our progress and process? Job insecurity. No confidence in leadership. Poor communication. This can come from all levels of the organization. Unpleasant coworkers, again, at all levels of the organization. Boredom in the job. And that's the area that we will focus on for the efforts of our survey. And then lack of accountability or recourse for actions taken. So why is that an issue? Well, statistically speaking, 48% of employees don't like their jobs. And in the US, 80% plus of the US workers feel stressed in the office. So the consequences of that: lower productivity, lower morale, lower commitment to the job, and in the end, that results in higher rates of attrition. So what are we going to do about that? The approach one takes when addressing an issue like job satisfaction is very important. We can address it with certain actions, but if the approach is not thoroughly understood, then it could all be for naught. So James McGregor Burns outlined a style of leadership called transformational leadership. And in this, it's a process where leaders and followers raise one another to higher levels of morality and motivation. They build strategic relationships, develop employees' capabilities, and empower employees. They make their relationships translate into action. They lead through change and even leverages emotional intelligence. Although we can't go more deeply into those areas, by understanding that leadership is reciprocal, leaders and followers both lift one another and engage one another, we know that that could help satisfaction on the job. So how do we connect the dots? Well, boredom is the area that we truly want to look at with job satisfaction. And the Huffington Post notes that 55% of Generation X and Generation Y workers believe that finding a job that's fulfilling is worth sacrificing in salary. We work for the state. We cannot always be the top of the line when it comes to internal and external equity. But what we can do is ensure that our performance in terms of the jobs that we're able to offer others truly does have enough variation opportunity for growth so that when leaders and followers engage with one another, job satisfactions increase, leadership trustworthiness is increased, accountability is increased, employees gain skills, they're empowered, they're engaged, and it is reciprocal. So using the guise of transformational leadership, specifically the actions that we can take as an organization here at DHHS include what a lot of instructional design and in the training arena call the tell me, show me, let me do it approach. So tell me, supervisor meets with staff to discuss areas of interest and engage people. And ultimately, the solution and action we're recommending is a cross-training approach. Show me. The supervisor and the employee create a process for the cross-training across the team. There's a trainer assigned that's a subject matter expert in the area, and they're available to not only teach the area, but provide feedback for a minimum of 6 months on the job. And then let me do it. There are going to be projects assigned and jobs tasks that are regularly expected to help exercise the skills in the new facet of the job and increase the performance, through assessment and a performance management tool. For example, HR. We are siloed within the state. We have a benefits representative, an employee relations representative, a recruitment representative, and a classification compensation representative. By cross-training into different areas, people can become more marketable and have areas for growth, but also it makes people more productive. When someone's out, there's a backup that can step in and do their job, and we do not have to wait until someone else gets back to work. There will open more opportunities for communication, open opportunities to create that trust between leader and follower. And it will also open doors for the culture to shift. Therefore, once again, bringing it back full circle, allowing job satisfaction to be increased. So I appreciate your time today and want to leave a few minutes for questions. Just to let you know, we do have references here to show that this has not only been researched within scholarly articles and through books, but it also shows that these practices work in the work setting.